Welcome back, everyone. Sony and Marvel just made some big Spider-Man 4 announcements this week about what's going on during the movie, which characters are coming back, what's changing because of Doctor Strange's spell in the MCU, and some of the Spider-Verse characters coming into the live-action movies, so we'll break it all down. We all theorized about Spider-Verse coming into live-action. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. They'll start releasing more Spider-Man 4 details soon. The movie will come out during Marvel Phase 5 in 2025. The reason they didn't have it on the Marvel Phase 5 schedule revealed at Comic-Con last year is just because they hadn't finalized the details with Tom Holland and Sony yet. Typically, the Marvel people, Kevin Feige, lets Sony make most of the initial release date announcements about the Spider-Man movies. Sony's a much bigger part of the actual marketing. Marvel mostly just handles the creative, like the actual writing, the filming of the movie. Sony gets to make most of those big announcements. The Sony people are usually the ones that give away some of the biggest secrets about the movie, too. That's how we started getting details about Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man No Way Home, because they were coming from Sony promos that they were releasing, not the Marvel people. The reason we got all these new Spider-Man 4 and live-action Spider-Verse details is because of the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse premiere. Amy Pascal is the person at Sony who's in charge of all these main Tom Holland Spider-Man movies and the one revealing all these new details. Like, she's the person in all those Kevin Feige memes that you saw the last several years. She's also a producer on the Spider-Verse movies and some of the Spider-Man Venom spin-off movies. Like, she's on the Venom movies, but she didn't have anything to do with the Morbius movie, and I don't think she had anything to do with the Craven movie that's coming out later this year, too. At the premiere, they confirmed most of the details we'd already heard about Spider-Man 4, and the new stuff that she revealed is that Zendaya is coming back as her version of MJ, should be a main character again, despite Doctor Strange's spell and everything that happened in the Spider-Man No Way Home ending and post-credit scenes. A lot of people online were confused by this detail, like, wait a minute, what? Does that mean that the ending of Spider-Man No Way Home doesn't mean anything now? Why is she still a main character if Peter had all memory of their past together erased from her mind to protect her? Like, literally, she has no idea that Peter Parker as a person exists in the movie, just because they couldn't think of a way fast enough to fix the tears in the multiverse without erasing all knowledge of him from everyone's minds. So bringing her back in the story as a main kind of walks that twist back, just slowly. It means that they'll continue being around each other, whether he plans to be around her or not. She'll just continue to be part of his orbit while he's trying to be Spider-Man and be Peter Parker and go to college during the day. Early theory is that he'll probably wind up having to save her a couple of times, and he'll be around her during the day, and things between them will play out similarly to the way they did before, where she starts to notice weird inconsistencies and coincidences, and she figures out that he is Spider-Man all by herself again. Originally, the idea during Spider-Man No Way Home, like the whole reason for Doctor Strange's spells in the first place is because they were all trying to get into MIT, and at the end of the movie, both she and Ned got into MIT, so you'd think that they would go to Cambridge. The only way to explain her being a main character again, because the movie's going to take place in the New York City area, would be if she loses any chance of a scholarship to MIT and thus can't afford to pay tuition and has to go to a local New York City college, because that's a pretty common story. There are a lot of my friends in real life that had that problem too, like really smart people that got into Ivy League colleges but just couldn't pay the massive tuition. Somebody bring back Norman Osborn and tell him to pay for everybody's college tuition. Peter was getting his GED at the end of the movie because all memory of him was erased, so it's like he never attended school, so that's why he had to get the GED in the first place, and he'll use that to get into a local New York City college, like the comics and like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. Early theory is that Zendaya winds up going to college at Empire State or wherever he winds up going to college in the New York City area, and that's why they're around each other so much when he's Peter Parker. And as he starts fighting the villains in his movie and doing things as Spider-Man as well, she just starts to notice weird inconsistencies and coincidences, and like I said, things play out like they did in the first movie, and she just figures it out on her own, like, oh, you're a version of Spider-Man. The other big news is from Kevin Feige, and he revealed that the plot of Daredevil Born Again will figure heavily into the events of Spider-Man 4.
I have a strong feeling that, and I've said this since I started the Netflix show, so this is not a big deal, that eventually I'm going to kick Spider-Man's ass.
Cannot wait to see Daredevil and Spider-Man team up to fight Kingpin, and for Kingpin to try and squish him some Spider-Man. They're going to be filming the series all this year, all the way to December, so we're going to get a bunch more scenes, bunch more of them talking about new characters and connecting with the upcoming Marvel movies. Of course, I will do videos for everything, and I will do videos for all the episodes when they start releasing them. There will be 18 episodes total in Season 1, but they are going to break the season, I believe, into 2 halves. Like, there'll be 2 cours. If you watch anime, they do that all the time. Like Season 1 Part 1 and Season 1 Part 2. But Vincent D'Onofrio recently explained that they are developing Season 2, so there will be multiple seasons of the show, in addition to these 18 episodes that they're currently filming. The new scenes that they're filming also help set up what's going to be happening during the events of Spider-Man 4, so I'll explain how that all fits together. The events of Spider-Man 4 will take place after Daredevil Season 1, and the whole idea is that he becomes mayor of New York City during the events or at the beginning of Daredevil Born Again. And what they're doing is setting up sort of a Dark Reign era in Marvel Phase 5 where the villains start to take over, and Kingpin is just the version of Thunderbolt Ross basically in New York City. Like Thunderbolt Ross becomes president of the United States, Kingpin becomes mayor of New York City and rules New York City, to make a Defenders pun, with an iron fist. It's meant to be based on the comic book run that did a similar type of story, and during that, he took a very anti-vigilante stance and used that to go after people like Spider-Man, people like Daredevil, who he forced to work for him as city prosecutor, and people like Punisher, for instance, who we know is coming back during Daredevil Born Again. Kingpin isn't meant to be the main villain of Spider-Man 4, he'll just be doing his thing, trying to get rid of vigilantes like Spider-Man, or calling Spider-Man a vigilante. Technically he's a hero, but he's kind of like a vigilante like Daredevil. So Spider-Man will be dealing with that, like he'll be on the outs with the law because they'll be coming after him, trying to get rid of vigilantes, while he's also trying to defeat the regular villains in the movie. It's a very Spider-Man, very Daredevil type of problem to have. Like, how do you save everyone when everyone thinks that you're the bad guy, when technically that's not true? Like, how do you prove that you are the good guy? It all plays into the whole idea that they're taking Spider-Man 4 in a more friendly neighborhood Spider-Man direction, away from all the Iron Man high-level Avengers stuff, but he will still be in Avengers 5, Kang Dynasty, and Secret Wars and all that big stuff too. It's just that they're taking the character back to a more comic book original Spider-Man type of territory, less tech-based Spider-Man. Really good examples of that were Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield's versions of Spider-Man. They also recently revealed that they're making a live-action Miles Morales movie, like hot off the presses, live-action Miles Morales, and a Spider-Gwen spin-off movie with Haley Steinfeld's version of the character. There have been rumors in the past that they were going to do live-action Miles Morales in the MCU during Spider-Man 4 because the apartment that he moves into has Hispanic neighbors, so people were like, wait a minute, is that Miles Morales' family that just lives in his building with him? We already know a version of Miles Morales exists in the MCU. During the movie Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, MCU Aaron Davis also shows up in Spider-Man 2099's prison. He had just become the Prowler during Spider-Man Homecoming, so it's like in the time since then he started wearing the Prowler armor. There was also a deleted scene during Spider-Man Homecoming where he specifically mentions Miles Morales.
Hate this dude, man. Yeah, sorry, Miles. I'm not gonna make it. Yeah, I'm just stuck.
But I'm just excited for us to introduce Miles into our own universe one day. I think that's going to be really cool.
Should be wild.
Yeah,
Should be a wild.
That all took place well before Avengers Infinity War in the snap, and there were a lot of theories that they just used the 5-year time jump to age that version of Miles Morales up a little bit faster. Now, Shameik Moore, who also plays Miles Morales in the Spider-Verse movies, said that he's trying to get the job as the live-action version of Miles Morales. Like, I already play a version of him, and he's in his late 20s, so he's a little bit older, but it wouldn't be hard for them to play him a little bit younger.
I manifested this.
So what are we manifesting now?
Live action.
That's what I'm saying. That
We'll
was
see.
literally my next question. I was like, I think it's time to make the jump. I think you're the one to do it.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Let's hope. Let's keep pushing forward. We're campaigning one step at a time.
Now, I saw, Shameik, you said that if they do live action Miles Morales, which I think the writing's on the wall, it's going to happen at some point, you want to do it, right?
Do I want to do it? Absolutely.
Hell yeah. So if they wanted to do Spider-Gwen and Jessica Drew in live action, would you guys be game?
Yeah.
It just depends on how old they want Miles to be in this new live-action movie. Because in the Spider-Verse movies, right now, he's only about 16 years old, so it would be a little bit harder for Shameik Moore to play 16 years old. I don't know if his comments are meant to be a misdirect and they're already planning to use him as the live-action version, or if they've already planned on casting a completely different actor. Because during Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, they mix so many live-action versions of Spider-Man into the movie in related characters like MCU Prowler. It supports the theory that some of the Spider-Verse versions of the characters will just transition into live action for Avengers Secret Wars cameos. They'll reveal more about the live-action Miles Morales movie next year after Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse comes out, so it'll be a little while before we figure all that stuff out. The Spider-Gwen movie is meant to be an animated spin-off, so literally it's just going to be the exact same character, different adventure. They didn't give a release date. I think it'll probably wind up being 2025 or a little bit later, not that long. And speaking of live-action crossover, because she plays Kate Bishop, she was also talking about her version of Kate Bishop meeting the live-action version of her Spider-Gwen. Let me know in the comments, though, what do you want them to do with the live-action version of Miles Morales? Because they need a version of Spider-Man for all these Sinister Six spin-offs that they're developing, like in the Morbius post-credit scene, they talk about a version of Spider-Man. They're mostly talking about Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but they need a version of Spider-Man for them to fight in those Sony spin-off movies. Still kind of hoping that winds up being Andrew Garfield, but we'll see. Congratulations, PB James, you're the giveaway winner from my last Marvel video. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your contact details. Everyone click here for my Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse ending post-credit scene video, and click here for my full breakdown and Easter eggs for the entire movie. I'll update the link as soon as I post that. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.